Hello! Thank you for joining me for part 2 of this epic bikepacking adventure on the Welsh Marchers Way, where I leave the historic town and castle of Ludlow and head towards Richard's Castle and the historic church of St Bartholomew's, before heading southward towards Amestry, where I check out the local church. I then head off for breakfast at Kington before traversing the Offa's Dyke path, and finish this part 2 by heading towards Gladestry, where I rest at St Mary's Church.
So just passing through Mortimer Wood at the moment. I passed through here on the Marchers Castle Way, and I actually slept in these woods on the first night. It's a few miles outside Ludlow, and yeah, really pleasant woods, plenty of camp spots if you want to be nice and stealthy. Just a ticket. It's a bit too early for tonight though, so still early afternoon, so I shall be cracking on. And it's always nice to sleep somewhere different anyway. But yeah, I'd recommend this place if you're passing through at the right time as a nice camp spot. Going uphill for a while, but I guess I could say that every time I talk, because that's what it feels like. You're just constantly going up and down, up and down. The breeze is picking up though, so that's good. A nice breeze can cool you off a bit.
St Bartholomew's Church is a redundant Anglican church in the village of Richard's Castle, Herefordshire. It is recorded in the National Heritage List for England as a designated Grade 1 listed building and is under the care of the church's Conservation Trust. It stands close to the castle of the same name as the village, which was built to command this part of the Welsh Marches. The village is partly in Shropshire, and the county boundary is not far from the church. The church dates from the 12th century. It was extended early in the 14th century and again in the early 15th century, and restored in the late 19th century. The church was declared redundant on the 1st of August 1982 and was vested in the church's Conservation Trust on the 30th of March 2001. The village continues to be served by the Church of England, with the All Saints Church at Batchcock, Shropshire. St Bartholomew's is constructed in stone rubble with tile roofs. Its plan consists of a nave and a chancel built in the 12th century, a south aisle and a north chapel built in the 14th century, and a south porch of the 15th century. To the east of the church is a detached tower dating from the 14th century. Some restoration was carried out on it during the 19th century. It has a square plan and is surmounted by a slate pyramidal roof with a weather vane. The tower is in 3 stages. In the lowest stage is an arched entrance on the west side. There are square-headed windows in the east and the south sides in both the lowest and middle stages. The upper stage contains 2 light arched bell openings on the north, south and east sides. The tower has been designated separately as a Grade 1 listed building.
Hello, it's about 4:30 now on day 2, and I'm at St Bartholomew Church, otherwise known as Richard's Castle, which is quite spectacular. I've just been inside, and unlike a lot of churches, it seems like it hasn't been fully restored to modern day standards, so it gives you more of an appreciation how it was back in the day. So yeah, I'm going to have to give you a preamble of a little bit about the history of this place later on when I do a voiceover, but for now this is Richard's Castle. Really nice. I've done about 31 miles so far, so I'm going to try and aim for about 40 miles a day, which gives me plenty of time for my filming, to visit places like this, eat and drink, have a few rests and a little chill in the evening by my tent. So I'm sure some of you can do a lot more miles than that if you really want to, but I think the average person, even if you're reasonably fit, 40 miles feels like quite a long way in these hills. I might do slightly further than that if things go well, but every time I've said that so far, the hills have got the better of me, so we will see. Okay.
The Grade 1 listed church of St John the Baptist and St Alkmund in Amestry, Herefordshire, boasts a deep history dating back to the 12th century. Built on estates belonging to Queen Edith and the Mortimer family, it is one of the very few English churches dedicated to St Alkmund. The chancel is the oldest part of the building, featuring original narrow semicircular headed lights from the 12th century. The nave was likely built shortly after under the patronage of the Mortimer family of Wigmore Castle. The church tower was used as a vantage point during the 1461 Battle of Mortimer's Cross, which took place nearby. The church porch was rumoured to be a stabling area for the cavalry. The church was extended in the 14th century and heavily rebuilt in the 16th century. Inside it features a late 17th century chancel screen with the royal arms of William III. and a possibly 12th century tub font recovered from the nave floor. The village's ancient medieval preaching cross was restored in 2009, removing it from the English Heritage at-risk register. The church previously held the chapel of St Andrew in nearby Ludlow. Hello, good morning. It's day 3, it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm at Amestry by the church. I decided to spend the night at the back of the church as it was getting on a bit and I wasn't sure whether I was going to find a spot, and also there's water here and a few other bits and bobs which helped, so I was quite comfortable here in the end. I'm going to film the church in a minute. I wish I could have filmed the Croft Castle, which I somehow managed to miss out yesterday. The route went a little bit pear-shaped yesterday and I came off-piste. Must have gone really close to the estate where the Croft Castle is, but nevertheless missed it. Never mind. It's about 5 miles behind me now and I'm definitely not going back to find it. So there'll be more castles and nice historical places along the route anyway, so not too worried about that. Okay, I'm just going to have I don't know whether you can see just behind me in the archway, just making a cup of tea. I'm going to have some breakfast, then crack on. Just saw some deer, but they scarpered off, so I couldn't capture them. Not exactly the fastest trail at the moment, but so I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the bike I'm using for this trip. It's a Norco Revolver 9.1 carbon framed hardtail 29er, gear ratio 10:50. You can see the tail fin aero pack with 16 litre panniers at the back there, and at the front I'm running an Alp kit 20 litre front bag. You can see my Garmin computer there, which I use for navigation, and my phone, both of which run off the pedal cell dynamo hub at the front there. They no longer make that, incidentally. I'd recommend a hardtail mountain bike for this trip 100%. Just passing through Kington. Never been here before. Hopefully they've got a nice cafe somewhere. I'm absolutely starving. A nice all day English breakfast would be nice.
It is nice. You're right.
really enjoyed traversing this section of the Offa's Dyke path. The Offa's Dyke is a spectacular 177-mile national trail that traces the historic English-Welsh border. The path passes through 3 areas of outstanding natural beauty: the Wye Valley, the Shropshire Hills and the Clwydian Range. The route crosses the England-Wales border over 20 times and travels through 8 different counties. This spectacular section of the Offa's Dyke path was between Kingston and Gladestry, where I found myself resting at the local church.
Hello, it's 2:45 on day 3 and I'm on the Offa's Dyke path, somewhere near the top, 420 metres up. Just stopped on that bench just behind me for a cup of tea, for my flask. I carry a flask, a 1 litre flask. It's a bit of a burden weight wise, but it definitely is worth it when you climb a massive hill like this and you're gasping for a drink. So that was my reward for climbing this hill. I'll just share some of the views with you. Absolutely stunning. 360 panoramic views everywhere you look. Absolutely stunning. It's a little bit cooler up here, a little bit breezier, but that's quite refreshing because it's turned reasonably warm again, maybe into the mid-20s, but yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm going to crack on, try and do some more miles. I'm going to try and aim for 40 miles again today. There aren't many places to stop for the next few hours, so I'll just crack on. Still on the Offa's Dyke path. Very beautiful.
St Mary's Church is an active parish church in the village of Gladestry, Powys, Wales. The village lies east of Builth Wells, close to the border with England. The church is designated by Cadwra as a Grade 1 listed building. The Church of St Mary stands in a rectangular churchyard in the centre of the village of Gladestry, some 6 kilometres to the west of Herefordshire town of Kingston. The church dates from the 13th century, although possibly with early origins, and was enlarged in the 14th. The Royal Commission on the Ancient and Historical Monuments of Wales records that the spire atop the 13th century tower dates from the 18th century. The church was twice restored at the beginning and at the end of the 20th century. The church remains an active parish church in the Diocese of Swansea and Brecon, and occasional services are held. St Mary's consists of a nave, a chancel with a bellcot above, an aisle, a western tower and a south porch. The building material is mainly local rubble. The roofs and spire are clad in shale slates. Parts of the interior are floored with encaustic tiles by William Godwin and Son. Robert Scarfield and Richard Haslam, in their Powys volume in the Buildings of Wales series, describe it as a handsome and relatively large church. St Mary's is as a Grade 1 listed building.
Hello, it's 4:15 and I found myself in the small village of Gladestry, which I've never heard of, but it's a very pleasant little village. It's got a nice pub. Couldn't find any shops, but I did find this church behind me. I think it's called St Mary's. So I took the opportunity to take some nice shots of the church. And yeah, absolutely lovely little place. Just had a cup of tea, freshened up a little bit, and refilled my water. Church is a really good place for refilling your water if you're ever a little bit short. It was getting quite hot, so you can always knock on somebody's house, I guess, but church is usually less obtrusive, and they're usually really nice, mellow places, so I often find myself coming to these churches. And yeah, they're very pleasant inside as well. Sometimes you can even charge your power bank in there as well, so or your phone, if you're lucky. This one even has a toilet, which an outside toilet, which is quite unusual. It's the first one I've come across like that, but it's good to see these churches having nice facilities. There's an absolutely wonderful rhododendron behind me. Lovely pink one. Nice time of the year for the rhododendrons. I've seen loads of them on my travel. So yeah, so I'm going to crack on now. Done about 30 miles and I'd like to hit 40 before it gets too late. So I've got to get my skates on a little bit really. So I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye.
Thank you for joining me for part 2 of this amazing bikepacking adventure through the Welsh Marches. Please join me for part 3 of this adventure, where after leaving Gladestry I camp in a farmer's field before I reach Gladestry on Wye for breakfast. I then head to the Brecon Beacons National Park, ascending up to 680 metres with the most amazing views, bypassing the Gwyn Fawr Reservoir, and eventually I reach Abergavenny, where I check out the castle. The next day I joined the very pretty Monmouthshire and Brecon Canal, directing me towards Usk and its historic castle, before I finished the adventure in Newport.